metabolic syndrome. And it doesn't exactly mean that.
No,
it just means that when you're in this situation, it's likely that you're
deficient in
these things.
And I think that there's definitely, if you were to address those deficiencies, I think that there would be positive results because
it'd be very unlikely to hurt the scenario.
Right. So if you happen to get like a nutrition panel and get all of that tested and you find you are deficient in those, becoming non-deficient in them would probably help.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if you're deficient in something, depending on what that thing is, if you're just teaching your body to burn that something more by giving it to it.
I don't...
Because I think about hormones, for example.
Right.
So I think about... or you're teaching your body to not create that. Because I know in the case of testosterone, if you inject testosterone or anything like that...
Treat your body not to create it.
Right, you teach your body not to create it.
I don't know enough about it, but I would say for certain things, most vitamins, most minerals, except vitamin D, which is actually not really a vitamin.
It's a hormone,
a hormone. Well, it's actually like this weird quasi-hormone because your body produces it and you acquire it.
Isn't it kind of semantics with how it's considered a hormone?
No, it's just it's like not a hormone, but it's not a vitamin. It's like this weird in between because you need to get it and you get it in through food, but you also need to produce it and you produce it through sunlight exposure. Mm-hmm. So your body produces it regardless. So it's a hormone, but it's not a hormone. It's better to get it from both places than one.
And there's different forms of it as well.
Yeah, but the main one is they're talking about is vitamin D3.
D3.
Yeah, which is the one your body produces.
Right.
So I don't think that if you take it, you teach your body not to produce it.
That's something I need to reload on, by the way.
I've never found that out. Because think about this, for calcium, your body doesn't produce... I don't actually know about that.
Your body produces calcium?
Yeah,
I don't know. I know it can extract it from your bones.
Your body produces it to a certain extent, but it doesn't. It's still considered essential. You need to ingest it to have it and to have higher levels, the appropriate levels in your body, or things
That's
like vitamin E.
That's an interesting subject all by itself because when people go to a more whole foods and even cut out dairy, they worry that they're not going to get enough calcium. I know.
If you eat enough bone broth, you'll get plenty of calcium.
Well, yeah, or you eat enough broccoli, for example.
Sardines or something like that.
Speaking of, are you still doing the sardines?
I'm still killing the sardines.
Yeah?
I'm still killing it.
I'm
hooked. I can't get
I'm going to keep asking you so I motivate myself to do it next time I'm in the grocery store.
Cook and oil, fry it up, and then a spicy sauce on top.
They're so good for you, too.
And so I kind of wonder, but I don't think that your body will stop producing. So, for example, vitamin E, if you don't take vitamin E,
right?
Will your body doesn't produce it. So you need it. You have the essential vitamins and minerals, meaning they're essential because your body can't produce them.
Right.
So I don't think so.
Isn't that amazing how we actually have terms for certain foods like essential this, essential that?
I know.
And then there's no essential carbohydrates whatsoever.
No, oh my God, no.
Don't you need carbohydrates for your brain to function?
Technically, no.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's a good idea to still have them. I'm not saying eliminate them for the rest of your life.
Glucose is important,
right?
But it's not. And then it's not essential. And then it depends on how your body's functioning. So what we found out with me, increasing my resistance starch and even just increasing my carbs in general, I feel a lot better. Mm-hmm. I've been having a lot more energy.
For me, I recently weighed myself, and on the weekend, that's what I was getting to earlier. On the weekend, when I have that much starch, I gain 3 pounds. Bam, 3 pounds up. Now, I don't really care what the weight is on the scale, which we'll get to in a little bit, actually.
Right. Oh, yeah, actually.
But it's really interesting how my body just whoosh, grabs those starches whenever I have them in a higher amount.
I think the thing I have to be careful with is just sugar. But originally I was going to do a no sugar for 3 months, and I was like, this is what I'm doing. And then I kind of just realized I think I was creating an even negative view of it. So now I'm just like, whatever. Mm-hmm. And if I have it, I have it. And then if not, I don't. And more often than not, I don't.
It all goes back to that kind of hacker mindset of trying it out, measuring it, and seeing how you feel.
Yeah.
And then moving on from there, pretty much. So that's what you're reading
Yes.
or looking into?
What are you reading or looking into?
I'm pretty much stuck with school stuff right now, too. It's making me think about moral and ethical implications of health practice and behavior change with my clients actually a lot. So I'm looking into policy around vaccination for different.
That's such a dude. That's like
inflammatory
such a touchy
topic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Extremely.
You can really set people off.
So what I'm learning about right now in my health policy class is how to write up information about that to specific stakeholders in the matter, and how to be very objective and not very biased in a lot of ways, and then just present what options would be. Mm-hmm. But for vaccination, it's really interesting because you have all these major opinions on it, and it's just really interesting to me, the morality and the ethics that go into health. Mm-hmm. And then when you present options for what options to take with health parameters, you have to really think, yeah, morality and ethics play a part, but here's the actual reality and the feasibility of what you want to do right now. And it's really helping me think about what my clients' goals are, actually, mm-hmm. and what they want, what is possible right now,
right.
and how to frame that conversation with them a lot. And it's interesting because you can use the same structure that I'm using in these papers right now to talk to your clients. You can give an example like, I want to lose this, for example.
Right?
We keep on going back to that. That's
yeah,
what we've been talking
I know.
about
That's
today.
what we've been literally talking about all day.
And you could give them all the science in the world about that, but framing that message to them is really what's the most important, or else you're not going to get them to buy in, so to speak. And then giving them options about how we can go about doing this and kind of letting them feel like they're making that choice is really useful. And I used to do that more, and then I go away from it, and now I'm going to try and come back to it as I go forward now. So that's what I'm reading and watching. If that made it sounds really abstract when I explain all that.
No, I think I understand. And behavior change is so it's hard. It's hard to do, and it's hard to get people to do, and
unless you work with somebody and you just put in these subtle.
Yeah, right. Unless you do subtle hints and. Oh my God.
This is one of those things where
it didn't work for the journaling, just FYI.
I know, right?
It did not
work.
It did not work at all for the
Damn
journaling.
you acronyms.
But the acronyms, that did work. The acronyms.
How's that going?
It's really well.
Yeah.
I have actually an appointment tonight, so.
How's 100 Grateful Days going?
Good. I've been doing it, and then I forget to sometimes actually put it on, like, Instagram, so I do, like, 2 in one day, but I think it doesn't matter as long as you have, like, 100 photos. They're not checking the days, so, but it's going really good.
I've been journaling a lot more in my regular written journal, and I love my written journal because I can doodle in it, and I love doodling, but I'm doing it so often now that I'm using up my journals. And I'm just like, oh my God, if I want to look back on some things, I'll just end up sitting here for a while looking back on things. It's just not a bad thing.
No, it's not bad.
But I would really like to be able to look at my journal and be like, hey, I wonder what I thought about this topic, or I wonder what I thought about this topic, or I wonder...
You can't do a search.
Yeah, you can't do a... But you can if you do it digitally. So
if you digitally do it.
I'm thinking about how to set up a scaffold or an outline of a behavior that I want for digital diary, digital journaling. I'm setting up I'm contemplating right now, actually I'm preparing for a new behavior in terms of digital journaling.
So what you could do is you could put it in your notes on your phone or your iPad.
Right.
And they all sync. And if you have a Mac, what you do, it'll sync to the notes on your computer. And then you could just copy and paste it and put it right into a Word document.
Well, have you used Evernote before? Have you heard of Evernote?
Yeah, I've had it for years. I just never really got
I never
into
really
it.
used it either, yeah.
No,
I was thinking about that.
So much easier to copy and paste it into a Word document.
Well, but if you can categorize it in Evernote. And you can put hashtags, and then you can search by hashtags. in Evernote and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it might
come
be
a long way because I didn't have it when I first got it.
It might be a little too complicated for me to actually start the behavior, because I do notice if I make a behavior too complicated, then
why don't you just first step would be just to start doing
just
it in your
writing
notes,
it
in your notes
digitally. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Good job. High five.
High five.
Okay, I'm going to stick with that. Then, I guess the other stuff that we were going to talk about is really into the main topic right now. So, body image was something that we were talking about before this earlier. And one of the things that made us think about it was, what was it?
We were talking about, at work, we're going to put up a bulletin board for the 7 or 5 or so many myths. The most common myths that we hear people talk to us about as personal trainers and group fitness instructors in the fitness industry. And I pulled up a website just to Google to see what other people were saying they were receiving. And there was an image of a fitness model. And and that's where it came from.
Yeah, it was a women's fitness magazine.
Yeah, and I was just like, that's not how we look, and that's not how.
I thought it was interesting the pose she was in too. Did you notice that?
She was posed in this very particular way
in
to
a
make
side
her
profile.
Yeah, to make her look as small as possible, to make her look as defined as possible, which is fine because that's the magazine's goal. But the problem is that that's the magazine's goal, but then there's a huge disconnect between.
There's a side effect to that.
Yeah,
a major side effect, a social side effect.
Yeah, like for someone to look at that, they're not going to say, "Oh, well, it was their goal to make her look this way." They're going to say, "That's what I want to look at like."
Right.
And
it's there because for that reason, pretty much in terms of marketing, you put things out there that you know are going to appeal to our attractive kind of wants and needs and tendencies.
So traditionally or ancestrally, we're attracted to health.
Right.
Most people are not attracted to unhealthy people.
Right.
But the problem is we're now so freaking skewed as to what is health.
Because our culture has bombarded us with these specific things that are not exactly what they used to be, pretty much.
No, and it's so bad and it's so hard and it's something that
it's interesting how it varies between culture too.
What is considered attractive?
Yeah.
I think So when I lived in Japan, it was considered attractive to be really pale. The Japanese women were really, really white-skinned and really small. But I think also, though, that was a reflection on the men in the culture as well. Their stature was a lot smaller. They weren't really tall. They weren't like Nordic men who are super tall, and their women are tall and big, and that's attractive for that. Whereas in Japanese culture, that's not. So I think it's very cultural as well, and I think the more traditional your culture, the more healthier that view is going to be.
That's a good diet. I never thought of it that way. But that makes sense in a lot of ways. Very similar to food in that aspect.
Yeah, so the more traditional, the more whole food based, the less commercialized, the less westernized your culture is, I think the healthier that view is going to be. You know, because when you think about it, what the main reason we're put on Earth is to procreate. Yeah. Is to reproduce, to expand our genetic pool. At the base all, end all, be all of it all, that's what it is. We are animals, and that's what we're supposed to do. So you are going to be attracted to the person that is going to provide the best fertility, so that is going to be the healthiest woman and the healthiest male.
Right. It's funny because I feel like when you see that attractiveness, sometimes what you see and what you feel is completely different. So some people will see someone as being really attractive, and then they meet that person and they're not attracted to them.
Well, I think that's like personality plays into a role.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about...
I think there's subconsciousness to that as well, though. I feel like people don't exactly notice it. Like pheromones, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Like pheromones...
That's why you're not supposed to... Birth control is so bad, but keep going.
Right.
Continue on. I'll explain
Well, I read some research in the past that talked about pheromones being a possible indicator of a good match for people. because it would display to your potential mates that you had these kind of, I guess, bacteria inside of you, but this kind of
Genetic makeup.
and it mixed well